How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
So we're here with another episode of the Part of the Culture podcast. I'm trying to do it a little bit different. We'll have the whiteboard. I have my buddy Joe here. We're doing a live training, and I wanted to talk about my new book, Money, and Joe works in the financial industry, and so I figured I'd bring in an expert. So how you doing today?
Doing good, my man. Welcome back. Class is in session.
Class is in session. What do you want to talk about today?
Shoot, well, I'm excited about the times right now. Obviously, this week's been very volatile. If anybody's actually paying attention, right?
Yeah, in the market, stock market.
It was a roller coaster.
Yes,
right?
it was.
I'm excited about your new book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my new book, just in case you don't know, it's on Amazon right now. It's How to Fill Empty Pockets. So it talks a little bit about everything. It talks about hard work. It talks about investing. I know you're huge on both of those. So I just wanted to bring them in.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because you were talking about your book, and then you were like, well, I want to give people general principles. And when you came in, you were like, I appreciate it. You're like, man, this office is awesome. And, every time, you always ask great things. But you were like saying, hey, how come everybody doesn't know about, where to put their money?
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought that would be a great little tip of the day to just really get people thinking about why you want to go out and learn and actually sit with somebody to learn how money works.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was my big thing. And last time I had talked about that, how, I was working in the hospital 13 years and my dad retired. He's a business owner, and he gave me the tip to say, go sit with somebody and actually learn how money works. And the one thing that I found now, 7 years in business, is that a lot of people haven't really saw the big picture of money, right?
No.
So you were asking me that, and we were talking about, different places to put your money. Well, where's the number one place people put their money?
First, it's the bank, obviously.
It's the bank, right? So let's just talk about this relationship right here of money. You get money. If you leave that money in your house and the house catches on fire,
money gone,
right? unless you did it deep underground, right?
Yeah.
So then you're right. Most people, they're gonna go put their money in the bank. Right? And then that's the relationship. And the bank is a great place because if we need money, we can pull out money.
Yeah.
Right? But at that point, that's what the bank does. But did you know that when you put your money in the bank, there's a thing called FDIC? Have you ever seen that in the bank?
Yeah, you see it everywhere.
Everywhere, right?
Who insures the bank's money? Our money.
Oh, yeah, but guess what? They only insure your liquid money, right? Up to $250,000. So
they're gonna need to insure me twice.
Yes, there you go, right? So part of culture comes in. They said, "Hey, sir, I noticed you've been doing really well."
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen, and if it hasn't already happened, they're gonna say, "Hey, you know what? We actually have some good vehicles happening here at the bank. I'd love to have you walk over here and talk with our banker."
Yeah.
Right? Have you had a chance to talk with our banker yet?
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of bankers.
Right? Well, guess what happens when you walk over and sit and talk with that banker? Guess what just happened?
What happened?
You walked into a third-party relationship.
Okay.
Right? And why does that happen? Because here at the bank, right now, what's your interest in your savings? Is it growing that much?
No, I think it's like 0.001.
Yeah, right.
They're actually like negative percent.
Yeah, you're paying the bank.
Yeah, so literally, I'm losing money by having a bank account.
So let's just say 0.25%, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you have a CD, maybe right now you might get a 1.5% CD for 10 years or something like that, right? So right now, that's the relationship. Hey, this is, works out here. So what happens when you do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say you actually did that. When you put your money here, does the bank just let it sit there and collect dust?
No.
No, they actually use it.
They flip it.
Yeah, guess what they do? They said, hey, listen, for every dollar that you go put in the bank, guess what the bank's doing with that dollar?
What are they doing?
They're leveraging $3, right?
Okay.
So they're putting that money, in, guess what? Mortgages, right? Real estate,
Yeah.
right? They got credit loans, right?
Yeah.
And guess what else they have? The biggest one of them all.
Insurance.
They're backing up that money,
Yeah.
right? Like, actually, did you know that banks...
Actually, side note, I definitely want to just have a whole show on insurance.
Yeah. That's really what you're coming to learn.
Yeah.
And they're saying like, wow, how is it that you learn this? Well, because all of the major companies that we work with, they want us to help people learn that you can actually learn this yourself. Because here's the thing. Now, once that dollar goes here, the word insurance means what? Back it up. Right? You insured that camera.
Yeah.
Right? You insured your cell phone.
My camera's not insured.
Oh my goodness. You have to insure your car.
Yeah, my car is
insured. You have to insure that home, that American dream, right? So what happens here is that when you do that, for every dollar that the insurance company takes in, they have to have $3 in reserve, right?
Yeah.
And that's because, guess what? Your money's backed up by the SIPC, right?
Yeah.
Securities and Insurance Protection Corporation. And guess how much that is? Up to $500,000, right? 500,000, right?
Yeah.
So that's even a little bit better. But here's the thing. Guess what your interest has been doing the last 20 years?
What?
6 to 20% rate of return. What did my
And
client?
these all up in here?
Yeah. What did my client make in the last 5 years?
43%.
Yeah, 43%. I just showed him a statement of a client making 43% in the last 5 years, when 2 out of the 5 years was negative years.
For
right?
sure.
Isn't that crazy? So pretty much what we're saying when it comes down to financial literacy,
Yeah.
financial education, is if most people, they put their money in the bank, right?
For sure.
Why don't we teach them how to bypass the bank and go put their money where the bank puts their money?
Put your money where the bank puts your money. So we're going to keep it super simple. I want to just because a lot of people, they say your avatar, who I'm going after. Most people that I see need help aren't these super crazy business professionals. It's kids that are 18, 19, really up to 35, 40. People don't know how to invest money. So in layman's terms, someone's just getting a job. They're just starting out, and we'll kind of go to my even what my whole premise of my book is, just so we can keep it clear. And it's, part of it comes from The Richest Man in Babylon, part of it comes from Jim Rohn, and it's what to do with $1. So pretty much you have, $1. I keep it simple. I think you should give 10% to charity. I think you should invest 10%. And when you invest, you want the highest percent return that's safe for you. Percent return. All right? And so that's why I come to guys like this, so you can learn about all of these different vehicles. I think you should really be doing a lot of different things, but you should learn 10%. So I think part of that 10% can go into the bank. I take, for me personally, I do personal loans, so I make money through credit loans, and I don't buy mortgages, but eventually I want to be the bank. But you should also, I want to learn, I don't know about this. So I need to learn about this because maybe I'm leaving money on the table. And then, the other 10%, 10% charity, 10% investing, and then you live off of, I might have different things in there. Yeah. Oh, save 10%. That's the last one. I think you should save 10%. You should always have cash liquid for emergencies and different things. Once you have 3 to 6 months saved, I believe that you don't need to do the saving anymore. Once you have 30, 40,000, you should start investing a little bit heavier into things that put more money in your pocket. Yeah. And then 70% you live off of. Have fun, go on trips, live life. But the whole premise of my book is this, but it goes into detail of why this is important. Sorry, it's ugly.
Oh, no, we got it. But I think the big word that you're hearing here is there's two things that cause that. Number one, like I was telling them, if you haven't not read The Richest Man in Babylon, you want to read that book. Huge game changer. Another one is The Secret of the Millionaire Mind.
I need to read that.
Because The Secret of the Millionaire Mind will help you look at your own financial blueprint to understand that all this is there and it's been in front of us this whole time. The problem is we already have our fear that's developed in us on stepping out of what we don't know. Because if you don't have a good job in Silicon Valley where you work, where they offer you some kind of retirement plan at your work, even then you might be going off of the experience you had at a past job, or what you think of what you got from your coworker, right? Because most people's advisor is either a family member or a coworker.
Yeah.
And if it went really good, you're probably pretty confident with that. And if it went pretty bad, you're probably pretty skeptical about that.
Yeah.
So then what happens is the bank then again becomes the safest place because that you have your money there, right?
Yeah,
so
you
then,
can see it.
So then the hardest thing that we're trying to teach people that the wealthy do is, guess what you just said? Diversify. Diversify that dollar, right?
Yeah.
But people need to grow and learn on that. So that's our big mission, our big crusade, is to really teach people that, hey, listen, your family doesn't have to be left behind if you learn to diversify in all the different areas. Because a lot of times it can't just be one thing. So like, for example, debt. Debt is not a bad thing, like he said. A lot of people use debt for them to get ahead.
There's
but the
good
thing
debt
is,
and
there's good debt and bad debt. But then here's the other thing: if you have debt and all you do is work for 10 years to pay off your debt, and you haven't learned how to diversify and know that that's going to be going as you're getting ahead, then guess what? 10 years later, now you're going to start on some of these other things when we can learn the word to diversify. So that's the great thing about what we do here, is that we truly believe we can help in so many areas to help grow to become a diversified individual. Because how many income streams does Jay-Z have right now?
A million.
Yeah, so he didn't just stay in music, right?
No, he definitely did.
It's called diversify. So you learn that in time, and he learned that in time, and right now it's a beautiful time to learn it. So
to keep it, so I know money is like a never-ending complex thing, and so
it's actually a lot easier.
So for me, that's the reason I even wrote my book, is to keep it. That's why I invest in the stock market. Like, you can literally, for me, if my advice to a starting out person would, put 10%. If you don't know what's going on, I would put 10% in the S&P 500, index fund, SPY. So, and we can even have this conversation. That's what I would just tell. If you don't know anything about investing, invest in an index fund. Keep your money there for 10 years and see what happens. That's what I would tell someone. What would you tell someone that's just starting out in investing and doesn't really know much? Because I just believe that the conversation of investing gets so crazy that people all of this is cool and insurance is cool, but the average person's their eyes are gonna glaze over. So how can you explain this? Or if someone brings you $1, what would you tell them to do with that $1?
I would tell, if they brought me $1, I would tell them the same thing. Find the value of the value of money is all about what your goal is with money.
Okay,
right?
so the goal matters.
Yeah, the goal matters, because if you're comfortable with your goal, then, because you could sit two people down and one person says, I want to flip that right away, and I'm willing to take the risk to make that happen. So in that answer, I'm saying I would go with his first answer, like, hey, I want risk, I'm going to try the S&P, I'll feel it out and learn. I also, if I want to get ahead, I'm going to have to keep putting into it, because there's going to be days where it goes down.
Yeah.
But if I keep putting into it and I hit a day where it goes really up, then my money doubles, right?
Yes.
Because that's why they talked about, feeding that. So still saving and putting away is there. But the goal of anything when we sit down with somebody is to say, hey, what's your big goal? What's your dream? And if you do have money or you don't have money, what would you do with that? And so, like, for example, my first thing I would tell people is, like, right now people are in a fear mentality about money. So I would tell them, well, what if I could give you the most value for your $1?
Yeah.
Because right now, look at what just happened in Gilroy, right?
Yeah.
Mass shooting. People going out having a good time,
R.I.P.
right? Hearts goes out to everybody. But I also know that I have some products that says, hey, with that $1, that valuable $1, that $20 of not going to the movies for 1 month, if something like that were to happen, you would to know that if even, let's say you just got injured. Somebody might have got injured in their thigh, and let's say they were a delivery person and they can't walk for 3 months. I have a vehicle that not only will pay them out 24% a year, let's say they had a $500,000 policy, living benefits. Right?
Yeah.
And that living benefits is a return on investment.
So that's cool. So what you're saying
is all about the value of that $1, of what they've seen then versus where they're at. Because, like, what if everything goes great? And you go, well, what if I could just get some interest on that money while I'm going through these tough times, right? Because that's the goal. It's always going to be about the value of your $1 and getting the most out of it in money and time. Right?
So now, you always open my mind. So for me, I've been focused on, say, making money, and the S&P 500 is a way to make money. If the market goes up, you could lose money also. And I'm not a financial advisor, just to let that be known. But what you're saying is, I like this, goals, your goals do matter. And the second thing is, part of your money can go to ensuring that, say, okay, I'm investing in the S&P 500, but if something happens to me and my money's on a down thing, my family's only going to get what I had. So instead of maybe putting that $20 in the S&P, if I put 100 in, maybe only put 80 in and take $20 and then put it in some kind of insurance that protects me in case of an emergency.
Exactly.
So you got to protect, not only do you have to make the money, invest the money, but you also have to protect yourself and your family.
Exactly.
And that's one of your goals. So that's very powerful.
Yeah, and I give you a perfect example. I had a young entrepreneur about 4 years ago. When he came to me, exactly the same thing. We started at $100, and as he grown, because there's flexibility in how we help build somebody's goals, next thing you know, they come back and they go, man, guess what? I got $12,000 this year. Where can I put that? And now we've helped build this goal so that money can grow, because your mind also has to be able to grow as long as your income does.
Cool. I want to kind of wrap it up. I didn't want this to be too long of a presentation. We're gonna start doing a series.
It's a conversation.
A conversation. We're gonna start doing a series. This is my dude Joe. I'm JD at Part of the Culture. You can find me at partoftheculture.com or on Instagram at Part of the Culture. How can they find you?
You can find me at I am Joe Kramer, not Seinfeld. Kramer. I am Joe Kramer. At Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, Joe Kramer. You can find me on YouTube, HBD Leadership. Lots of different ways, but you can always find me through this guy, right?
Yeah, so just always reach out to me. You can reach out to him. Again, I just wrote a book, How to Fill Your Empty Pockets. So what I really want to do, the goal of it was everyone learns. We all know how to get money one way. You go to work, you trade your time for money. But what I was seeing, and the problem I was seeing is that people didn't know what to do with the money they're making. They don't know how to double their money. They don't know how to flip their money. So I wanted to write a very basic guide. It's only about 30 pages, but I wanted to write a basic guide on how do you fill your empty pockets. And so the first thing is, you work, but you come and talk to guys like this. You invest your money. You learn about investments. The more you learn, the more you earn. It sounds so cliche, but that's why I write the books, is because books changed my life. But is there any last piece of advice that they should know, or kind of on the topic of money, insurance, or?
Well, no. The biggest rule of money of them all. It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you can keep. Right?
Keep that
so
money.
So how are you going to keep that money? So yeah, you want to make it grow, but then also another time we'll talk about taxes, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's getting ahead, but if it was so great, as they say, why isn't everybody millionaires, right?
True.
Well, a lot of times it comes down to the number one thing that we have to worry about is taxes.
So we're going to be talking about insurance. We'll talk about in taxes. And then the last thing I want to say on money, the reason why you are saving this money is so that